the world watched as Angel Reese, one of the WNBA's brightest young stars, fought back tears. But this wasn't just another post-game interview. This was a moment that pulled back the curtain on the complexities of women's professional basketball in America. Behind the glitz, the endorsement deals, and the sold-out arenas lies a reality that's far more complicated than Angel Reese's emotional breakdown might suggest. Here's the truth. Angel Reese has legitimate complaints about the WNBA, but she's also part of the problem. And if we're going to have an honest conversation about what's really happening in women's basketball, we need to look at both sides of the story. The salary complaint that doesn't add up. Let's start with the most talked about revelation. Angel Reese publicly admitted during an Instagram live session in October 2024 that her WNBA salary doesn't even cover her basic living expenses. "I just hope y'all know the WNBA don't pay my bills at all. I don't even think that pays one of my bills." Literally. The numbers sound shocking at first. Reese's rookie salary with the Chicago Sky was $73,439 for an entire season. Meanwhile, her monthly rent alone is $8,000, which translates to $96,000 annually. But here's where the sympathy train needs to stop for a second. Angel Reese chose to rent an apartment that costs more than her entire WNBA salary. That's not a league problem. That's a personal financial decision. Plenty of WNBA players live comfortably on rookie salaries by making smart financial choices. They don't rent luxury apartments in Chicago's most expensive neighborhoods and then complain that their salary doesn't cover it. The average American household income is around $75,000 per year. Angel Reese is making that as a 22-year-old rookie playing basketball for 6 months. Yes, NBA players make exponentially more. Yes, the pay gap is real and needs addressing. But when you're complaining about not being able to afford an $8,000 per month apartment while millions of Americans are struggling to pay $1,500 in rent, you're going to lose the sympathy vote. What makes this even more tone-deaf is that Reese has landed massive endorsement deals. She signed with Reebok and launched her own signature shoe, the Angel Reese Ones, in September 2024. The shoes, priced at $120, sold out within minutes online. She's on the cover of NBA 2K26. She's building a brand that will make her millions over her career. So when she says the WNBA doesn't pay her bills, what she really means is, my lifestyle choices exceed my basketball salary. But thankfully I have other income streams. That's a very different message than what she's selling to the public. The face of the league delusion. Angel Reese has been confident, some would say overly confident, about her impact on the league, previously stating that she is a needle mover for the WNBA. During her rookie season, she averaged 13.6 points and 13.1 rebounds per game, becoming one of the fastest players in WNBA history to record 30 double-doubles. She was named to the 2024 WNBA All-Star team. Those are impressive stats. Nobody can take that away from her. But let's pump the brakes on the face of the league narrative. Caitlin Clark broke viewership records. Clark is the reason casual fans started paying attention to the WNBA. Clark drove ticket sales to unprecedented levels. When the two rookies faced each other, it was Clark's name bringing in the eyeballs, not Reese's. Angel Reese seems to genuinely believe she's on the same level as Clark in terms of cultural impact. And that delusion is part of what's making her emotional journey so difficult. She's convinced herself of a narrative that the numbers simply don't support. A'ja Wilson is a 2-time MVP and champion. Breanna Stewart has multiple championships and Olympic gold medals. These are the actual faces of the WNBA, established stars who have proven themselves over years, not months. Angel Reese demanding that level of recognition after one rookie season, a losing one at that, shows a fundamental lack of perspective. The death threats are real, but so is her role in the drama. Now, let's be absolutely clear. Angel Reese receiving death threats is unacceptable, period. During a tearful press conference after LSU's loss to Iowa in April 2024, Reese revealed that she had been receiving death threats that started after leading LSU to the national championship the previous year. No athlete, regardless of how they conduct themselves, deserves to fear for their safety. The WNBA was forced to investigate reports of hateful and racist abuse directed at Reese in May 2025, and the league absolutely should take that seriously. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Angel Reese has cultivated a villain persona that invites controversy. Remember the infamous taunt directed at Caitlin Clark during the national championship game? The finger waving, the pointing to her ring finger, the aggressive celebration aimed directly at an opponent. Reese leaned into that moment. She embraced being the villain. She's built her brand around being unapologetically confident and confrontational. That's her choice, and there's nothing inherently wrong with it. But you can't court controversy, actively antagonize opponents and their fan bases, and then act shocked when you become a lightning rod for hate. Does that justify death threats? Absolutely not. But it does explain why she receives a disproportionate amount of negative attention compared to other players. She's cultivated an image that generates strong reactions, both positive and negative. That's the double-edged sword of being controversial. Caitlin Clark receives hate too, by the way. She's been physically targeted on the court, subjected to vicious fouls, and deals with constant criticism. But you don't see Clark breaking down in tears every other week, or going on Instagram Live to complain about her situation. Angel Reese's individual brilliance has been overshadowed by her team's struggles. The Chicago Sky finished the 2024 season with a dismal 10-34 record, missing the playoffs entirely. In June 2025, after an 85-66 loss to the New York Liberty, Reese was fighting back tears during interviews despite recording 17 points and 11 rebounds. Here's a question nobody seems to want to ask. How much of that losing is on Angel Reese herself? Yes, she put up impressive rebounding numbers, but 13.6 points per game as a starting forward isn't exactly carrying your team offensively. Her shooting percentages were mediocre at best. She's not a great defender despite her physical tools, and there have been multiple reports throughout the season of chemistry issues and ego clashes within the Sky locker room. When your team goes 10-34 and you're one of the stars, you don't get to just blame everyone else. Leadership means taking accountability. Instead, Reese seems more focused on her individual accolades and personal brand than on what it takes to win basketball games. It's telling that she became the fastest player to 30 double-doubles, while her team was getting blown out regularly. Maybe instead of hunting rebounds for personal records, she should focus on whatever it takes to get wins. Just a thought. In March 2025, Reese made headlines when she threatened that WNBA players might strike if salaries don't dramatically improve during the upcoming collective bargaining agreement negotiations. Speaking on her podcast Unapologetically Angel, Reese didn't mince words. If y'all don't give us what we want, we sitting out. Bold stance. Terrible execution. First, threatening to sit out is basically threatening to punish the fans who actually support the league. The same fans who buy tickets, merchandise, and watch games are the ones funding player salaries. Telling them you'll take away the product they love unless you get more money is not the solidarity move Reese thinks it is. Second, the WNBA still loses money. The league is subsidized by the NBA. Demanding massive salary increases when your league isn't profitable yet shows a fundamental misunderstanding of business economics. Should players get a larger share of revenue as the league grows? Absolutely. But you can't strike your way into profitability. Third, and most importantly, Angel Reese is literally one of the players who benefits most from the current system. She has endorsements, signature shoes, podcast deals, and a massive social media following. She'll be fine regardless of what happens with the CBA. But she's out here threatening to sit out on behalf of players who actually need their WNBA paychecks to survive. That's peak privilege masquerading as activism. When the backlash came, Reese doubled down. I said WTF. I said. And I'll say it again. That's not leadership. That's stubbornness and an inability to read the room. Angel Reese has also been vocal about the poor state of officiating in the WNBA. In July 2025, after a controversial call, Reese let loose. It has to be fixed. I am tired of this sigh. She's been ejected from games and fined for her comments about referees. And here's the thing. Yes, WNBA officiating could be better. But so could Angel Reese's discipline and emotional control. Every time something doesn't go her way, she's complaining to the refs, rolling her eyes, throwing her hands up. That's not leadership. That's immaturity. The great players figure out how to win despite bad calls. They adjust their game and stay focused. They don't melt down and cost their team technical fouls. When you constantly blame officiating for your team's failures, you're deflecting from your own shortcomings. The Sky didn't go 10-34 because of bad refs. They went 10-34 because they weren't good enough. And Angel Reese was part of that not good enough team. Here's what Angel Reese's breakdown really reveals. A young athlete who was told she was special her entire life, who dominated in college, who expected the professional level to bow down to her greatness. and who is now struggling to cope with the reality that success in the WNBA requires more than just talent and confidence. She wants WNBA money, NBA respect, superstar treatment, and victim status all at the same time. She wants to be celebrated as the face of the league while her team loses 75% of their games. She wants to talk trash and be controversial but doesn't want to deal with the heat that comes back her way. She wants to complain about her salary while living a lifestyle most Americans could never afford. That's not advocacy. That's entitlement. Yes, WNBA players deserve better pay. Yes, the league needs to address security concerns and harassment. Yes, there are legitimate systemic issues that need fixing. But Angel Reese is not the martyr she's positioning herself to be. She's a talented but flawed player who needs to grow up, take accountability, and realize that tears and complaints aren't going to build her legacy winning will. So when you see Angel Reese crying, understand what those tears actually represent. They're not just about basketball or salary or harassment. They're about a 23-year-old who is realizing that professional sports is harder than she expected, that being confident doesn't automatically make you great, and that the world isn't going to hand her everything just because she demands it. Angel Reese has tremendous potential. She could genuinely become one of the faces of the WNBA if she gets out of her own way. But that requires humility, accountability, and a willingness to prioritize winning over personal brand building. The WNBA doesn't need Angel Reese to save it. The league existed before her and will exist after her. What the WNBA needs is players who are committed to excellence, who lead by example, who make smart decisions both on and off the court, and who understand that respect is earned, not demanded.